Well, 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 what have we here? Purple After Dark. Purple Daily, Purple After Dark. We are here. Hold on a second. There.
There we go.
Zolgad, Declan Goff. Phil Mackey might be joining us. He might not. This is going to be fairly short and informal, but it's going to be a way for us to be able to talk to you after I spend a day at training camp and watch the Vikings, and for Dex and Phil and I to talk about what we saw. Tomorrow we'll break things down more, but because it's after dark, 9:13 Central Time. By the way, if you're watching this wherever you are, we appreciate you.
Thank you. Yes. Mash that subscribe. Oh, wow.
But because it's after dark, I have more important things than talking to people right now. Just give me a second, though. I'll be back.
Are you gonna? I think Judd Zolgad needs a lime. I think that's is that maybe what you're looking for here?
No, I
got a whole sixer. I love it.
Did I tell you the story about my good friend Chip Scoggins?
I think I know the story, but alert our listeners who are diehards, conduits of trouble, and I know where you're going with Coronas. Yeah. Yes, tell the story.
So Chip Scoggins loves Corona. Like it's a go-to beer for Chip, and which is
it's a good one. I like it.
Awesome,
yeah.
That's fine.
It's good beer.
So we're out one night. It was one of the first trips I think we went on. It might have been to Tampa Bay, Buccaneers, Vikings the next day, and we're at a bar in Florida down in Tampa, and Chip starts getting the Coronas. And when he does, he always says to the server or bartender, "No lime." And it's an automatic if you're a server or bartender, if you order a Corona, that they throw a lime in, because that's just sort of the thing, right? Like that's the shtick of Corona.
Yep.
And Chip's like, "No lime here."
No lime.
Turns out Corona. He loves Corona, hates lime. Which then begs the question that I, of course, ask, which is, why do you drink Corona if you hate lime? Like, there's so many other beers to drink. And Chip likes a lot of different beers. He likes IPAs. Mm-hmm. So this is not only a Corona. But I just thought it was hilarious that this guy who, is into Corona doesn't like the one thing the Corona is known for. And he just laughs. He's never really, there's not he just likes Corona without the lime, which I find
I love on a hot day. Oh yeah, even right now I'm jealous. I have my tequila on the rocks. I got my tequila on the rocks. And,
I can send one over if you want. I can throw one right to the screen.
And yeah, just Kellen Mond it. I saw Kellen Mond was throwing some darts in there. We'll get into it in just a little bit. So throw me a good Kellen Mond pass. I'm Amir Smith-Marset, just waiting, Judd, just waiting for you to bomb a 12-ounce bottle of beer down just $3.94 right to me.
You saw his catch, right?
I did.
That's the catch. Now I did send it. I'm not saying that I sent the greatest footage in the history of highlight film, but the Kellen Mond pass to Smith-Marset, which, by the way, he would have been. Mond was technically going to be sacked, but of course,
I saw that.
In the first day training camp, you don't really care. That was a very nice pass, though. But there's a lot to get to. Day one of training camp.
Okay.
So no pads, and it's not going to be pads till next week. No pads. Hot, muggy, but a nice breeze out. It was not even close to being like the traditional, oh my God, stifling training camp practices. For all that we got worked up about how hot it was going to be today, at least out at the practice fields, we had a nice little breeze blowing through. Very comfortable.
Okay.
Football practice also has changed greatly in the last 20 years. So at the end, they essentially did walkthrough drills and didn't have their helmets on. And so it was much more casual than it used to be. Do you want to start with the topic du jour, Kellen Mond?
Yes, absolutely.
Quarterbacks?
We love Kellen Mond in this. Of course, I've been thinking about it all day.
So Kellen Mond, first of all, I'm going to tell you right now, threw a very nice pass on the one to Smith-Marset that I sent you, the film, which, by the way, you can find the video of that at the Score North Twitter site right now.
Yep.
So go there, watch it, have fun, enjoy it. As far as I can figure, though, in doing the simple math from what we saw today, it looks to me like the minicamp observation that we had was correct, which is Kellen Mond is going to be eased in big time. I think the second quarterback is pretty clearly Jake Browning. So it's Kirk, Jake Browning, and Kellen Mond, which I have no problem with. I think that's probably smart. But Mond, it's not like Mond got a ton of work. He did get work, but it's not like he's being anointed the number 2 quarterback at the start of training camp. But this is going to take some time, but I'm not sure what you think, Dex. I'm all for this. because in my opinion, if you're going to do this right and develop him in the correct way, and by the way, just to be fair to him, he is a 3rd-round pick. I told Phil this. I said, if this is Jordan Love and you're like, oh, he can't play, like we can't play him yet, and he's a 1st-round pick, I got a problem with that, because then I'm like, hold on a second. You took a guy in the 1st round and you're telling me out of the chute. Now, ideally, he doesn't play. But if you're like, he can't play, we can't do this. Kellen Mond's a 3rd-round pick. He's got some talent, but he also has a lot to learn. And I like if the strategy is, you know what, let's spend this year putting no pressure on him to play. Let's get him to learn. Let's get him to be around the league and the meetings. I actually think, and this is a total guess, I was not told this, total guess, I would not be surprised if they decide that Jake Browning can't play. So if they get halfway through camp or more and they're like, oh boy, I would not be shocked to go to my write that down prediction today if they went and worked out a veteran quarterback. I sense that they are going to be very smart in not throwing too much at Mond too quickly and really making this about a plan to eventually ease him in. This will be the learning year.
Yeah, and look, he's a project. He was a very successful quarterback at Texas A&M, and you don't want to rush him in. Kirk Cousins is the guy. Kirk Cousins is obviously the guy here. There should be no situation, unless barring injury or catastrophic events, that Kellen Mond makes a start. But I'd rather them ease him in too. You know, I know Chris Long released his odds that Jake Browning was 75-1, and he's technically will probably more likely be the quarterback too. But whatever Kellen Mond can do to learn from Kirk Cousins, I'm all for. And here is, I believe, the pass that he hit. And by the way,
oh, look at that! Look who just, you know, like a butterfly with sore feet coming in out of nowhere as we show a Kellen Mond highlight is Phil Mackey.
An RKO out of nowhere.
By God.
Just like show up at Mond if Mond's around. It's like, hey guys, what's going on?
You throw out the Mond bat signal. I'm like, I'll take a tab. I need to get back home and to the home studio. Actually, can we talk about Judd's videography here? Great work on the visuals there, but I'm a little worried about the wind audio there. I think we might need to get Judd a windscreen. You know, if he's going to be a real videographer for Purple Daily here. You know, the pros find a way to angle themselves.
I will say this, as I told Dex before you jumped on, Phil, that wind, lifesaver today. It was, because that would have been still as hell and humid, and instead it was actually, for football practice in late July, very pleasant. I'm not going to lie, very pleasant.
Yeah, it looked. I think it's just fun to have like a normal, quote unquote, normal training camp back. I bet. Like, and these guys probably, as much as they will never admit that they love the media, they probably like the fact that people are there filming. You're like, it's got to feel nice if you're a Vikings player, Kellen Mond, you check social media, and there's people with videos of you throwing touchdown passes in practice, you know?
Yes.
So it's a good time. What are we sipping on here tonight on Purple After Dark, boys? I got a little red wine action.
Little
keeping
cab.
it classy.
Little cabaret there?
It's a blend.
It's a blend?
It's a blend of some kind.
Wine is the one thing I don't do, so I have absolutely zero knowledge on what to drink or what it is.
As soon as you turn 30, you'll
I'm getting there.
magically develop a taste for wine.
No, it's not true.
Thank you. Tequila on the rocks for me. Tequila on the rocks. A little tequila.
Oh, amazing.
I just got the entire 6-pack.
And Judge just has a 6-pack ready to go.
Judge just has an IV of IPA, actually.
No, it can't be. Here's the thing. Once camp hits, long days, hydration is key. We dial it back for a while. The IPAs start again when the games start.
Okay, when the weather gets a little crisp.
Yeah,
okay.
If I go IPA tonight, tomorrow's going to be hell. And I can't be out there sweating that beer. See, there's a key. They talk about players being in shape. That's fine. The media, though, that's an art.
It really is. I mean,
a 51-year-old older sort of heavier guy has to know what he can and can't do.
People don't pay enough attention and give enough credit to the media grinding, just standing there in front of thousands of fans in the heat. The pressure that's on the media to document the practice flawlessly is really not talked about enough for me. Yeah.
Flawlessly. I don't know that there was anything flawless today, but it was fun to be out there.
Anyways, continue. I don't even know what you guys were talking about.
We were talking about Kellen Mond.
We're talking about Kellen Mond. Dude, the succession plan.
Yeah, and you wrote in like we showed the Mond highlight, and all of a sudden here's Mackey with as was pointed out, the Collinsworth slide in.
Okay, I think I would much rather be the Vikings with. I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a better year than Aaron Rodgers because I think there's too much turmoil. And I think I would much rather have the Vikings' current situation at quarterback than the Packers' current situation at quarterback. Is that a hot take to say? Like, I'd rather have a guy who really wants to be here, even though he's not as good as Aaron Rodgers, that you can get out from underneath without having to worry about drama. And then if you want to go with Kellen Mond, you can, but he's a third-round pick, so there's no pressure. I feel like the Packers have dug themselves so deep with Jordan Love. Like, they have to give Jordan Love a try, even if they don't think he's the guy. And so I think the Vikings quarterback situation is actually in a pretty good spot now. 1 year of Kirk if they want. If they want to extend him, they can. They can take a look at Kellen. They have options, I guess, galore after the season.
So the whole thing. Yeah, in fact, I'll take your hot take and up that, because I think people are going to scoff at this. I would rather have, and this is currently, okay, so this is not Ted Thompson, this is not back then. I would rather have the Vikings front office than the Packers. I think the Packers are screwing this up.
Totally agree.
Yeah. I think Goody is a patsy. Mark Murphy, I think, thinks that he's a football guy, which is akin to, let's say, Ziggy Wilf, right? Being like, oh, I know a lot about football. It's like he knows he doesn't. As far as the dysfunctional nature of that franchise right now, and it used to be, the Packers and Vikings used to be polar opposites, because the Vikings for years were incredibly dysfunctional and the Packers were so well run. Mm-hmm. But if you look at this now and what they've done and how they continue, and like now the Packers are going out and getting Randall Cobb back.
I was just going to say,
because
think about how dumb of a move that is. What are you doing? Well, doesn't Randall Cobb makes like $9-10 million a year too? What are you doing?
And Rodgers got up to the podium today and torched the team, torched the franchise.
God. Oh, so did you guys see that there was a clip? So Rodgers caught himself. Somebody sent this to us.
Yep.
And he was, I love the fans. I love this I love the fans. I love my teammates. Like he started to say organization, then he's like, oh wait, I hate the organization. Actually, I love my teammates. I love the fans. I love my teammates. I love my fans. Randall Cobb is going to be 31 years old. He basically did nothing last year with the Texans, and I guess his cap hit for this year is only $5.2 million now, so it's not as bad. But like Randall Cobb. Aaron Rodgers sat out all offseason, twisted the Packer front office's arms, and like Randall Cobb is the thing that like is going to fix all of this for them. And
we have talked James Jones out of retirement.
Yeah, Greg Jennings is getting sick of his bodybuilding and media career. He wants to come back.
Ryan Grant really wants to spell Aaron Jones behind there. He really wants to get
Eddie Lacy is going to take a step back from the buffet and come in and score some touchdowns from inside the 3 yard.
Forget about that. That was a bad idea.
Now, a lot of Vegas odds makers have put the Packers back in front of the Vikings in terms of like division favorites and playoff favorites, but this whole thing from Rodgers filleting the franchise at the podium today, the Vikings seem like they've got their stuff more intact and buttoned up, even if there's some flaws here and there, than the Packers right now.
I came away from today, and not from the practice itself, because you can't tell much from practice. I came away from today, though, and seeing this team together and roster and what they're doing, more emboldened than ever about the fact that the no excuses mantra is a good one. Like this team, if this team's ever going to have a year again where, and I'm not, it's not 2009 with Favre, but if this team is ever going to have a year where they definitely can make a run, the conference is not great. And if you look at this, and yes, you've got to keep guys healthy. I get that. But if you look at how this team is built now compared to last year, right? Like last year, we first guessed how many defensive decisions, the tackles, and then Pierce, opted out and it got worse. The cornerbacks, we were on that first guessing, I think in, let's say, April or May. There were so many things where it was just obvious that they were tempting fate. And they're like, we'll be fine. And they said at the end, okay, we weren't fine. Well, good for them. They came back now and really rectified a lot of that. And even with the offensive line, which might not be perfect, I at least like the fact that they took steps personnel-wise to bring in guys and to address it. So if you're ever going to have a year where you really feel that the Vikings, with Cousins as quarterback, can make a playoff run and maybe go to the Super Bowl, because conference is not that great. It's good, but it's not great. It's got no team that scares me.
I think the Bucks with Tom Brady until proven otherwise.
Okay, but here's my question there though. They brought everybody back, and Brady's great, fantastic.
He's
but
all
when
right.
you bring everybody back, and that they're not a young team across the board, I feel like a lot of things that probably went right for the Buccaneers might not go right, and all it takes is a few things here and there. So, in watching the Vikings today and looking at the roster, though, I think they really did a good job of getting out ahead of a lot of the things that they failed to address last year.
Yeah. Real quick, I just see a lot of people. Someone, I think it was KL, just dropped a line. Skull from London. Bob M. Skull from the South. Amazing, as hot as Minnesota right now as it is down here. Where are you? We can sort of see just through our YouTube analytics that the majority of you are from Minnesota, but where are you from in Minnesota? And if you're not from Minnesota, where are you skolling from tonight? We'll pop some of those comments on the screen. Just kind of curious. It seems like a lot of people from like transplant Vikings and Minnesota sports fans have found us through the internet, and we appreciate that.
The majority of the Vent Line listeners we have on Sunday Night Show that we do in the off season have, I would say 75% of them are outside of Minnesota. It's been a majority of outside of Minnesota kids in California, in the South. It's kind of all over. We had a kid in Rhode Island the other day. It's pretty nuts.
That's amazing. Yeah, Burnsville, SoCal, Michigan, unfortunately for Dana. This is Michigan, unfortunately. Skull from Iowa. Dom Peppers, Skull from Raleigh. Awesome. You can pop if you got an Aaron Rodgers clip.
We'll get there in a little bit.
Take that. Austin, Minnesota.
Oh,
wow, look at this. Skull from Afghanistan. Nolan.
In the service?
What's going on, man? Yeah, are you
if so, thank
in
you.
the military, or are you
thank
just
you.
hanging out in Afghanistan?
Yeah, well, if you were in the military, thank you for your service.
We Skull from La Crosse, Wisconsin. So you're kind of a traitor like that. Do you dress in Packer gear just to throw off the weird locals?
One of the best times I ever had at a La Crosse, Wisconsin bar was the night of when the Packers lost to the Cardinals in the divisional round like 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And there was just a bunch of salty. It was the Rodgers had like the Hail Mary to tie the game again, but then they lost in the overtime, and it was delicious to be there. It was one of my favorite drunken moments.
Yeah, it's a good time to drink in. Nuge1717 says, call up Realistic Randy. Well, we've got some things in the works, let's just say.
Yep.
Here on Old Purple Daily.
Yep.
Got a couple, 2-3 things in the works here on Old Purple Daily.
Let's just say Phil might have made the call.
Yeah.
Now the only question is, will he get the haul? Stay tuned.
What's funny is like Realistic Randy was an OG Mackie and Judd radio caller back in like 2005, 2015, 16, and then started his own YouTube channel. He's been crushing it, but stay tuned.
If I may,
if
I may interject, I saw you put up a comment a little while ago, Phil, about Chill Boys. If I could just quickly say something, because I wore the Chill Boys to practice today.
Just the Chill Boys?
No, you know what? I could have, but I didn't. I wore the shorts and the Chill Boys, and I'm just going to say, on a hot day, incredibly comfortable, and I'm not kidding. You know,
it's that bamboo. It's that bamboo fabric, John.
But I'm going to tell you right now, on a hot day, on a hot day where it's sticky out, and let's just say it can get uncomfortable, it didn't. That's the magic of Chill Boys.
I'm going to say something that I probably shouldn't say because it's definitely too much information, but I wore my Chill Boys 2 straight days one day last week, and nobody had any idea. I was just as comfortable. The boys were chill. Chillboys.com. Whether you want to wear them back-to-back days or whether you want to just wear 1 pair per day, chillboys.com. It's a Minnesota-based company, and they would love for you to try on a pair of the most comfortable boxer briefs of all time. Yes.
That's very accurate. Very accurate.
Should we hear from Aaron Rodgers?
That's what I was going to just say.
Let's do it.
Should we hear from Aaron Rodgers? All right.
Let's do it.
I love this team. I love the fans, and the opportunity to play on Lambeau Field has been a dream come true. To be in my 17th season is really special.
Wait a minute. Let's hear that again. There was a little slip up.
I love this team. I love the fans, and the opportunity to play on Lambeau Field has been a dream come true. To be in my 17th season is really special.
I love Phil. I love Judd. I love I like working at this station. You know, it's great. It's fine. Yeah, it's.
He edited himself so perfectly. Delete organization. Delete.
That is amazing. Like he must get exhausted, right? Like, dude, this is definitely the Packers screw up from the beginning, just not involving him in the conversation and drafting a first-round quarterback when they were clearly in a win-now window. And so the Packers are culpable for sure, but Rodgers does nothing to smooth out the situation. Like the fact that he went up there today after all was seemingly well and just laid out all of the things that, you know, he has a problem with the organization is pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
All right, back to the Vikings, since I just got done with my first beer. Well, actually my third beer, but my first in quite a while. Danielle Hunter today. I'd like to talk about Danielle Hunter, who has returned to the practice field. And where would you rank this one, you guys, among the most important things? Like if we were picking out the single most important things, the return of Danielle Hunter is one. If it's not one, it's top
Yes,
three for sure.
if Danielle Hunter does not come back close to 100% this season, then I just like even all the pieces you added defensively, like you don't have a pass rush. If he doesn't play, you don't have a pass rush. So I think he's going to play, but he wasn't fully active at practice today. So I guess I'm wondering with him, with Darisaw, you know, how far are they going to take sort of the precautionary handling of these guys? Is there a worry that Danielle's not 100% yet? I don't know. They're not going to talk about it, probably.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, I think the concern is when you start to play games with a guy who had neck surgery, where things stand. But the interesting thing was this, and this might be, I think this is a tip off to where we're going if he is healthy. And if they do it, it's smart. Danielle Hunter today working a little bit at both ends. So he has traditionally been the left end. And of course, for the majority of his career, until he was out last year as well, Everson Griffin was the right end, and he was a Pro Bowl player there in his prime. So it made perfect sense to anchor those guys basically at the end positions. Well, Danielle Hunter today started going back and forth a little bit. And I wonder if that's going to be one way that they're going to try and get around the fact that they might not have a right end that they love. Because if one is, and I know it's different ends, so it's different thought process and position, but he's such a freak of an athlete. I think he could adjust and adapt. And if you had the ability to move him around like some teams do, that's going to be a complete pain in the ass for opposing teams.
Yeah.
Because you have to account for him every time.
Yeah. I am in the process, too, of pulling up some DJ Wanham numbers here because I've seen a few people ask about DJ Wanham. I think they're going to give him the best opportunity to get the most snaps just based on the small sample we saw last year. Mm-hmm. There you go. Purple After Dark is Purple After Dark unless you're drinking nice libations. I'm bullish on DJ Wanham, but I think Danielle Hunter has to be playing at his peak capability to really unlock whoever the right end is. You know, it's kind of like when Jared Allen was flirting with NFL sack records, and you know Ray Edwards was sort of just a league average defensive end, but sometimes looked much better because they had great run stopping, sort of space taker uppers in the middle, and then Jared Allen, and then the other defensive end has a chance to unleash. And I think with the way the Vikings had their defensive line set up this year, with if Michael Pierce, another injury case, if he's ready to rock, and Dalvin Tomlinson and Sheldon Richardson when he rotates in, and I think the guy that could benefit the most is the right defensive end opposite of Danielle Hunter, because you're just not going to be paid as much attention to.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what happens.
I'm not going to chug it. No, I'm not going back to Ari. Okay.
Can you chug it out of a bottle though? It's kind of tough.
It's
right?
tough out of a bottle.
Chugging period is tough. I used to think it was
the beverage.
Well, that's true. That's a good point.
A good light beer or a seltzer, you can put that baby back pretty dang quick.
Shotgun that thing.
Yeah, if it's you're talking a Bud Heavy, then we got some problems. Like that takes some serious work to put down that.
Oh,
quickly.
Absolutely. So Zim doesn't really like to fool around with the principles of his defense. But I always go back to that Saints playoff game that the Vikings won down there and how he used Griffin and Danielle Hunter inside in that game at times too. And I just think if you were willing to loosen things up a bit and move Hunter, assuming he's back to full health, around, that might be one of the hidden things. Now, I say that, and I'm the same guy who said, well, this is going to be the year that Anthony Barr rushes more often. And that's never happened. So I'm probably wrong. But it is interesting that they started practice with Danielle at least being given the opportunity to move around a bit. And again, Phil, this might come to what we talked about on the Instagram show, which, by the way, I really like doing today. It was great fun. Me on Instagram, 51 years old. But you know what? They might be trying to decide, too, what they're going to do at that right end spot. Can they fill it? And if they can't, and I think we're getting more questions about this again as we do Purple After Dark, is Chandler Jones or a guy like that become an option, too, to pursue if you just flat out decide we're too good not to fill that position with a player we really like?
All right, so here's Bradley Guthrie on the Purple Daily YouTube comments. By the way, if you're watching us on the Purple Daily YouTube channel right now, click that subscribe button and the bell notification, Ding. And we'll get you that daily Vikings entertainment in your feed. So he says, reckless speculation. Vikings trade a 2022 third and fifth, and then a 2023 fourth for Chandler Jones. Now, there's only 1 year left on Chandler Jones' contract, so you might have to figure out if it makes sense to trade those 3 draft picks for 1 year of Jones, or if you'd want to extend him. He's also in his early 30s. Would you consider giving up a third, a fifth, and a fourth, a future fourth, for Chandler Jones?
Dex, go ahead.
I would do that in a heartbeat. The issue is, I think, making the salary work is kind of an issue. So you might have to bump up maybe that third for a second to give them a sweetener, as in, hey, take on $5 million of that $20 million I believe that Chandler Jones is owed next year. But I would do this if just looking at it from a trades perspective, I would do this in a second if I was the Vikings.
Could you sign him? So if you agreed to something like this, could you get the ability, or if you entered into an, okay, we'll do this, could you then get the Cardinals to sign off on you going to Jones and his agent, extending him, getting his 2021 cap hit down a bit, and I wouldn't extend him for long, but let's say it's 3 years. Now this also depends mightily on, I think, at least the first, month or so in how you feel about your defensive ends. Because if you start to like what you see, if Wanham starts to play well, or you have a guy who starts to play well, I think it becomes less of a pressing issue. But if you don't, and we clearly know that when free agency started in March, they went out and tried to sign a couple of big names, then that might be the answer, is to do something like that. I hate to give up a second round pick. I probably wouldn't give up 3 draft picks, but I probably would give up 2, and the highest I would give up is a third rounder.
Yeah, I'm not giving up 3 draft picks for that contract and that age.
2? Would you give up 2?
But I would give up a third and a fifth for Chandler Jones. Yeah, I would do that for sure. Jay says, how about turning around and trading Pat Peterson and a second and a fourth for Xavier Howard? I mean, Xavier Howard is ridiculously good.
Yeah, that's good.
He's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. It's definitely going to cost you more than Pat Peterson, a second and a fourth. It would for sure involve a first round pick. Oh, man. Can you imagine? Oh, hey, Patrick, thank you so much for all the podcasts this offseason and the mini camp and the 1 day of training camp. But we just traded you and some draft picks to Miami. So he probably wouldn't hate that, actually.
Would you do a first and, let's say, I don't know. It's going to be a first for sure, but let's say it's a first and a fourth.
For Xavier Howard?
Yes.
100%. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. I think it might cost more than that, though.
Okay.
If you can get Xavier Howard for a first round pick, what
was the price for Jalen?
Rashad Breeland? Sorry.
Oh yeah, that's
Jalen Ramsey was like,
that was a first.
Couple. Was it a couple first?
Okay.
I think it was a haul to get.
If Miami trades this guy, it's going to be approximately the same thing. It's going to be enormous.
But he's also, I know he's good, but he's entering 28. You saw Xavier Woods hit an absolute clip. I know he rebounded a little bit with Indy last year, but cornerbacks hit a wall quickly. We talk about running backs hitting a wall quickly. I don't know if I can give up a first round pick for that.
Well, Xavier Howard is he is 28, and that is around the age. Like Xavier Rhodes is probably 28 when he dropped off a cliff. So to Dex's point, that is a thing to worry about. But last year Pro Football Focus had him as the third best cornerback in the NFL, behind the second best cornerback in the NFL behind Jair Alexander. The only one above was like a small sample size thing. So Jair Alexander. By the way, if you're the Packers, wouldn't you rather have traded for Xavier Howard than signed Randall Cobb? Like if you're going to add something to your arsenal.
Yeah, but I mean, they're now trying to make Rodgers happy. It's so dysfunctional.
It's so weird.
I mean, it's just a dysfunctional family, and the divorce is so necessary. Do you know what this is? This is like going to counseling one last time. This is like we'll get Randall Cobb for you. Okay, I guess that'll work.
We just need a getaway weekend to the Rocky Mountains.
They're spicing up the relationship is what they're doing. Randall Cobb is the footballian negligee.
Let's feed each other grapes and listen to some Kenny G. It'll be great.
Can't speak for the latter, but that doesn't work. That doesn't work. It doesn't end up happening.
Wow. Feeding grapes and listening to Kenny G.
I'm just saying the getaway weekend. It won't work. It won't work at Green Bay. It's not a good strategy.
More like a lost weekend.
Yeah, lost weekend.
All right, Phil, let's talk about it. Offensive line, and Declan too. Offensive line. The only confusing thing. So I watched this practice, and I'm going to tell you right now, almost everything I saw made sense to me. Right? Like I could justify it in my head. Yeah, I get that move. I get this move. I get that move. Rashad Hill at left tackle because who's the new? I'm drawing a blank. Probably because I've had too many beers. Actually, it's just a couple. Christian Darrisaw.
7.
It's like
17. Yeah.
I'm on my 45th beer. So Christian Darrisaw out still after having core muscle surgery after last season, and so Rashad Hill at left tackle. Fine, I get that completely. But with the first team today, and I believe that Dakota Dozier, the majority of snaps I saw, he was the first team guy with Cousins. Oli Udoh stayed in and played first team right guard. But at one point, Jake Browning took over the snaps, and they left the first team offensive line in and subbed out Dozier for Udoh. We talked about this. This is the one that I don't understand why Dakota Dozier, and I think, Phil, you're with me. I don't get why he remains in this mix and what they think they saw at left guard that could translate to right guard. And this just seems like a poor use of anyone's time, perhaps including Dakota Dozier's.
I don't understand why he was allowed within 100 yards of the roster. Like, there should have been a football restraining order put on Dakota Dozier.
It's right here. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. The fact that he's on the roster is puzzling, and the fact that we're 5 or 6 weeks away from the start of the regular season, and he right now is your starting right guard. What are you doing? I told Judd this on the Instagram Live. I'm sure we'll dive more in even tomorrow on the regular edition of Purple Daily. But, like, what did you see last year from a veteran player? It's not like he's a 23, 24-year-old that, all right, well, he had a bad year, but he's young. Like Garrett Bradbury, right? Okay, well, that was rough, but, he's going into his third year, and there's still some upside and some hope. Like, Dakota Dozier is a veteran player in the NFL. Like, why is he allowed anywhere near your roster? And the fact that he's still number 1 on the depth chart is unbelievable. And it kind of seems like they're greasing the skids for Oli Udoh to maybe get the start. Or Wyatt Davis comes flying down the backstretch once we get further into training camp. That's my hope. That's my hope. But I don't know what the temptation is screaming for them with Dakota Dozier. But here we are again.
Why is Wyatt Davis not challenging Oli Udoh for that job? Like,
he might. He
might be. Yeah,
he might.
Right, but why not on day one? Like, what are you? I understand Rashad Hill is a longtime backup, has started before. He's certainly not spectacular. He's not great. But you know what? He knows how to play the position. He knows what he's doing. He can play right or left tackle. I understand all of that. But what I don't understand is after what happened with Dozier, he not only is on your roster, but he's challenging right now for a starting job, which I just think is a waste of time.
Yeah, the Wyatt Davis thing, we just don't know enough yet. I mean, it could just be that, hey, we're gonna ease guys in, and we're gonna create a culture of competition here, and that we're not just gonna give a rookie on day 1 of training camp a starting job on the offensive line. That you're gonna have to earn it over the course of 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, even if it's kind of a charade. And I'm fine with that. I don't think we can say one way or the other what the deal is with Wyatt Davis. We just haven't seen enough of it.
No, that's why I want to see more of him.
I wouldn't get worked up that he's not running with the ones yet. Get back to me in like 2 weeks if they haven't tried it out yet.
Okay.
Although maybe it's possible too. He's not a lock. Okay. What was he, a 3rd round pick?
Yes.
Right? One of your 9 third and 4th round picks?
Which is why I would have a competition with him and Samia. I wouldn't give him the job. I'm just saying let's cut to the chase here and let's get a real competition.
Yeah. And just we're kind of, I think we've kind of acted all off season though, like, well, Wyatt Davis, because some publications had him as a 1st round grade, that he's just a lock to be a starter. It's like, well, he still has to be good, you know.
Well, he still has to fine too.
Play well in practice and stuff.
That might work out.
What other comments do we have? Wow, people just ripping Dakota.
Yeah.
Well,
Look, we don't have to get personal with Dakota. I just don't I mean, as far as football goes, it didn't work out so well.
Oh man. Here's one here.
Oh, I got one for you.
Hold on 1 second. Let me pop this up here. Write this down from Justin. Danielle Hunter wins Defensive Player of the Year. So,
well, if he
the
does,
masses can see that. And then Viking Jerome Drew Pancake Samia.
Pancake Samia. Pow. Quick jam.
Quick jam.
Pancake.
Got a pow.
Quick jam. Quick jam.
Pancake is a great term.
Oh, that's a great
Fantastic
football term. Pancake. Give him a good old pancake.
A legendary pancaker in college was former Viking Bryant McKinney. He pancake people left and right. Righted.
I would love to be a scout and just elite pancaker. I would love to just be able to write that down in a scouting report.
Watch this throw here to Cameron Brayton. Little quick jam. Little bam. Little punch. Knock him off bounds.
Package
You gotta change
of
it
how
up.
he plays the game. Like his hands are just hands. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2.
That's Judd reaching for the beers.
Yeah.
1,
Yep.
2.
1, 2.
1, 2.
1, 2.
Boom.
1, 2.
1, 2.
Stella, 1, 2.
Here,
1, 2.
Let's get him there.
Got another one? Oh, I thought a third one was about
No,
to
I
be
still got
cracked in
2 left.
35
Stone Cold
minutes.
Steve Austin.
By God.
They're
It's
only-
Zolgad.
Oh, okay,
They're only
real
90
quick,
calories or whatever they are.
real quick. Dex, did you catch any of either Nick Gage, Matt Cardona, or Nick Gage, Jericho tonight?
So I did not
The
catch
pizza
either.
cutter was used on national television.
However, did you see the promo involving who is Sting's little like protege, like the mini Sting guy? in
Darby,
AEW?
is it Darby Allin?
So
Or is it something else?
Darby basically hinted, without saying his name, that he's going to wrestle CM Punk in Chicago in 3 weeks.
Yes, let's
He said,
get it.
if you really are, there's one place to prove it. If you really are the quote unquote best in the world,
Let's
and then the
get it,
promo
dude.
ended. CM Punk
Yes.
is coming to AEW, man, and I am
Yes.
juiced. I'm all in. I'm all
Yes.
in.
Judd, we're gonna have to get you hooked on AEW here.
You guys are
Wrestling is
leaving Vince
fantastic
McMahon.
right
He's
now.
not going to be happy with you.
I've been waiting to get out of Vince McMahon for a while. Vince McMahon needs to leave the WWE, and then I will be back all in. To be honest, his son-in-law and daughter need to run it, and then he can go away.
All right. Okay.
It'll happen at some point.
Yeah.
Should we wrap this and save some ammo for tomorrow? Or do you guys have more takes that you want to unleash here on Purple After Dark?
Hey, Dexter, I think I sent you this. Do we have the pass of Cousins to Justin Jefferson to show before
I
we go?
can pull it in a few minutes here. Yeah.
Okay. A nice deep ball. This is what I want to see more of. This is exactly what we talked about. A nice deep ball on day one of training camp practice.
And Jefferson wasn't chirping him for not throwing the ball quick enough like he did.
No problems
in
with the
that one
flag
game?
route. No problems with the flag route this time. This was a deep route. Bit of a 9 route, if I may say so myself. Looked real good.
Oh man, were you tallying? Does Kirk have a favorite target? Is it still Thielen?
You know, I think I'm going to tally.
First day of training camp.
So I'm trying to do video on the phone and take notes, which is hard to do, both of them at the same time. But I think I'm going to do some more quarterback statistical tracking tomorrow. I didn't do any of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like I took notes today, but I didn't do quarterback statistical tracking.
You know,
I think in team drills, I'm going to do more tracking of the actual statistics to bring them to the table.
You know, people used to make fun of our good friend and former colleague Tom Pelissero for tracking training camp kicking and quarterback stats.
The kicking stuff's important.
And look at him now. He's breaking news. He's one of the
Good for him,
big
yeah.
NFL insiders. He was on Good Morning Football last week, hanging
that's
out with
awesome.
everyone. He was basically Kay Adams on Good Morning Football.
Oh, no,
last
he
week.
wasn't. I can tell you that right now. I mean, he might have been sitting in for her, but he wasn't her. So I did see off on the side, and I don't think we had any drills that really involved them. Hopefully we get this the next couple days. the kickers were off to the side doing their thing, and I almost wanted to run over to Greg Joseph and say, "It's not too late to do something else, dude. You haven't kicked a field goal in 2 years. It's not too late.
Just go whisper in his ear like a clutch free throw or something. Just walk up.
It's not too late to get out.
This is not the organization for you.
Get out of the Vikings.
Get off the plane.
Get off my plane.
Get off the plane.
What was
I
the
used to
last-
do that. Sometimes when I would go to Valley Fair, I would just sit behind like 9-year-old kids and say, "Oh my God, it's not supposed to sound like that. Oh my God, what's wrong with the ride?
You're terrible.
What's wrong with the ride? We got to get off. We got to get off."
Terrible.
Did you really?
You're the reason I don't go on roller coasters. That's the exact reason I don't.
Oh my
go
God,
on
it's
roller
not supposed to
coasters.
sound like that. I don't think it's supposed to
That's
sound like that.
So mean.
Roller
That's-
coasters.
That's
Roller coasters are awful. I hate roller coasters.
I
hate amusement parks.
What I don't get either is like I love water parks and I'm fine in a water park when there's more fear and more issues of possible injuries involving water. But for whatever reason, I'm all in with it. I don't get it.
That's because it's called the flume at Valley Fair.
Well, there's the flume and then there's the wave. The wave is the one where you stand on the bridge,
Oh, that's great.
and you get soaking wet on the top of
Okay.
the bridge.
Well, those rides don't scare me. The roller coaster petrifies me. I'm not doing the roller coaster, and not to mention the fact that that's an old roller coaster.
Which
Like,
one are you
parts of
talking
that-
about? The corkscrew or the?
No. The corkscrew. Yeah. I rode the corkscrew once. It's not as scary as the roller coaster because despite the fact it throws you around more, it's actually lower to the ground. What I hate is going up that high, and it's rickety too. The damn.
You're talking about Excalibur?
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Are you talking about that
roller coaster at
the
Valley Fair.
old white roller coaster?
I think that's Excalibur, isn't it?
Yeah,
No, that's not
hate
Excalibur.
that.
Is a wooden roller. I know the one Judd is talking about, and it is terrifying. It should
Yeah.
not be a roller coaster.
And for
in
years, parts of
2021.
that had been, if they're not still, had been brought in from like Excelsior Amusement Park, which closed when I was like 5.
Oh my God.
Galactic Gamer must have about 9 cocktails in him. He says you guys are fun and interesting to listen to.
Yeah, we've gone from AEW to roller coasters to tequila to underwear. Yeah, we
Come
do.
here for the Kellen Mond discussion and stay for the
right.
CM Punk speculation.
That's right. All right, here is the requested video of
Thank you.
Kirk Cousins hitting Justin Jefferson down the middle.
That's a
Look
nice
at that,
ball.
dude. That's
a nice ball.
a beautiful, beautiful ball. I know
And
they
you
weren't
know-
running full speed, but that was beautiful.
And I will say this goes back to Diggs as well. That's the pass that Kirk can throw.
Yeah,
For all the stuff that we say about Kirk, I will
Throws it-
flat out tell you
oh, he's super
Beautiful
accurate.
deep ball.
that
Absolutely.
he really does. But I mean, not to use that more, to me, is a big mistake.
That's the high roller is the roller coaster that
Yeah.
we're talking about here.
I do not like roller coasters, though. I stay off.
The Vikings, you might argue, are kind of a roller coaster, right? You never quite know. You're riding high, and then all of a sudden the Eagles come along in the NFC Championship game, and you're flying off the rails.
Minnesota sports is a roller coaster. The Twins played a 17-14 game today.
Judd owes us a shotgun if the Vikings win their first 3 games. Would you shotgun a beer on Purple After Dark or Ventline if the Vikings start 3-0? I think that's a
Shotgun's
no-brainer.
when you put a hole in the beer, right?
yeah. You grab a can.
I would almost need help
a
because
hole,
I would do it, but
put
I
it
don't
in
want
right
to do
here.
it. Yeah, see, I don't
Yeah,
want to do
you
it.
put a key in the side, you crack it, and then
Right.
you drink it through the hole.
But I would need someone to film it because, like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it here, or I would get the beer all over my equipment.
No, that's kind of the gist of it. You're gonna take a little blowback there. That's gonna happen.
Right, but I don't want to ruin anything. This microphone's not owned.
Oh,
by me.
you'll be fine. It's fine.
And then the keyboard. Again, the keyboard's not owned by me.
Isn't it a company microphone? What's the worst that can happen? I don't know what you're
Yeah,
so worried about.
Just put a
Well, I
plastic bag
won't get a
over
new
it.
one.
It's all good.
And if I don't have a new mic, then people can't hear my hot takes.
I don't know
And
if you
people
keep selling more pairs of Chill Boys, I think they can replace your laptop. I think you'll be generating enough revenue.
I'm
for the
telling you right
company.
now today. Oh, was I comfortable?
God.
What? We're supposed to speak honestly about
And
the things
yes,
that we love, and I
We
love my
should
Chill Boys.
peace out before Judd turns this into a
Yeah.
4-hour infomercial for
Yeah.
Chill Boys here.
The Chill Boys people might like it. Anyway, all right. I'll be back at practice tomorrow, but before I do, I'll go on with you goofballs. But I'm not going to be drinking Corona at that point.
Love it.
don't think-
Also, cheap plug. So we have another YouTube channel and podcast, Mackie and Judd, Score North YouTube channel. Check us out if you're interested in Wild free agency, Timberwolves free agency, Twins trade deadline. Subscribe. And if you give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, both on Purple Daily and Mackie and Judd, to help spread the word about the show. Josh Satram says, I'm driving and listening. This is getting dangerous. Dude, be careful, dude.
Josh, please be careful. We are not liable.
Careful.
Why is it dangerous?
Watching something as you're driving.
Don't watch us. Just listen. I mean, it's.
Just be careful.
Just be careful.
We don't want to be liable for any terrible.
No fault, no liability. Insurance only goes so far, kid. You make sure you're driving all right there.
Hold on a second here. Wait. He's driving and listening, and he wrote a note. And he spelled all the words really well and has the appropriate comma.
Yeah, I would never. I wouldn't do that not driving.
But But that's my point. Is I'm saying, Josh, I think you're fine. It's not getting dangerous, dude. If you can punctuate the sentence while you're driving, then we're not your problem.
No.
Then we're not your problem.
No. Why? Oh my God. Okay. Right. We gotta go.
Good hanging out with everyone. Appreciate it. Purple After Dark, the inaugural foray into the nighttime Vikings talk. We'll see you guys tomorrow.